about the main topic and stuff. All right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into the interview part of the show, okay? Like I said in the beginning of the show, maybe once or twice a month, I'm gonna have an interview and talk about different kinds of things that are going on, or just topics that I want to talk about with my homies, and hopefully later on we can get some real interviews with. Not saying this is not a real interview, but with people. With people in the industry about certain things or whatever the case may be. But today's topic is going to be about MMOs today. Okay? The MMO world, the atmosphere of the MMOs. I have here my good friend, a proud member of the NGA Never Game Alone community, next door neighbor, formerly known as Tak. Tak, how you doing? Okay.
I'm good, man. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. I'm glad you could be here and be part of this first interview on the Marz show. This is history, like we said before. You're the first interviewee a part of this show. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Okay.
Oh man. Well, of course, name is next door neighbor. NDN is what mostly everybody calls me, or Tak. Mostly stream MMOs, so this is in my wheelhouse for the most part. Known you for what, like 3 years now? 2 years now?
It's going on 3 years, yeah.
3 years. It all started with Dauntless.
Yeah, Dauntless, man. Tak, I was streaming Dauntless when I first had the beta, and Tak pulled up to the stream, was like, "Yo, can I play?" And I was like, "Sure." And there we just made a friendship. We instantly connected and we became cool ever since then.
But yeah, I mean, been on Twitch for what, 2 years now? 2.5 years? 2.5 years, something like that. We're kind of in the same way as far as stream time, right?
Yeah.
So 2.5 years, 2.5 years, something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people already know me for the most part. If you're new, I'm usually around in Discord or somewhere, thinking of plotting and planning, thinking of things to do. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about me. I mean, not really a whole lot. Just I'm an MMO guy. MMOs are, what I take pride in playing and producing content.
Right. Yep. That's why I thought you would be perfect for this topic, man. We're gonna get into the first question. Okay. So, how do you feel about MMO atmosphere today, and how has it changed from the past couple of years? Has it gotten better or worse, or has it stayed the same? What do you think?
I would say the atmosphere currently is on a trending upward slope. It kind of ebb and flowed. So you'll have your up and down years. Right now, it's on an upward trend, due to the fact that we've had a lot of expansions drop or dropping, or games being made. You had Elsewhere just drop earlier in the month or last month. You have the Final Fantasy expansion dropping next week. Then you have WoW Classic coming back. So everybody that has played or may not have played WoW can try that out in August.
Right.
It's going in a cycle. I mean, for most MMOs, they go in a cycle. So you get a lot of reused mechanics and things like that are put into a new MMO, which is fine. It's more so other content outside of the mechanic that makes the game entertaining or keeps you involved in it. It's just, I wouldn't say it, it has changed compared to the past. I mean, because we've had a drought for the most part.
Yeah, we'll say about within the past 5 years or
5
so.
Years?
Yeah,
Okay,
from when it used to be MMO, because there honestly 5 years ago there weren't even that many, mainstream MMOs out. I feel like it's become more normalized. MMOs are becoming more normalized, I should say. A lot more, I guess, normies, we could say, are starting to play MMOs. Me, I've always played MMOs, but I've never really delved deep into an
Like
MMO.
you weren't one of the ones, have a certain raid schedule and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
barely even get the rate. Even in the FPS MMOs like Destiny or there's another one, Warframe. Even in those kind of MMOs, I never really like. I love playing them, but I never really delved deep into them where I had like a whole party, a whole group of friends, and we sat down and played and did raids and things together. But
Right.
I say those kind of like Destiny, for instance, Warframe, those games kind of normalized or made MMOs a little bit more normal because now you're taking people from the FPS genre and mixing in elements from an MMO. So I feel like it's changing because of that aspect, right? So now somebody that's played Destiny, they're sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the best gear, I'm gonna get my light level up, and I'm gonna be able to do this raid and all that stuff. They get tired of Destiny, they're like, what kind of game is similar to Destiny? And they might check out like ESO or even Final Fantasy. So I think it's getting better, like you said, man. The Division, there you go. Thank you, T-Bones. The Division is another one where it has a whole bunch of MMO elements. It is an MMO, to be honest. And the definition, well, what MMO stands for, I should have said this at the beginning. A lot of people don't know, or people do not know. It's a massive multiplayer online game. So it's a game where you could play with thousands or hundreds of people on one server, just going around doing different events and playing campaign and co-op, and even PvPing and PvEing in a game. But yeah, so I agree. Like, it's gotten better for the most part. Like I said, it's becoming more normalized. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, like I said, with the way things are, just like in mainstream, you have a lot of games being brought back, per se, like WoW Classic. Another game that I was playing that was taken offline and then got brought back as a resurgence, City of Heroes. I know that's a very popular game. It came out at the same time as the original WoW, back in 2004, and then it went offline, and then it just came back as a resurgence. People have been going crazy about. So you got a lot of games that are coming back into the fold that people may not have had the chance to experience, that are younger than us, or might not have had the equipment or whatever the case may be.
Right, that was me. I never played WoW, never played Classic WoW. I never got into it. I got into it later on, when it got a little bit more popular, but I've never played the Classic WoW. And when it comes out, I'm definitely gonna, give it a try and see what the whole wave and what it was about. So yeah, like you're right, they are bringing games back. And even what you said with City of Heroes, that game was that was a game that I always wanted to play because they would show commercials of that on Toonami and things when I was a kid, and it's like, oh well, I don't have a PC, and my PC, even if I did have a PC, I wasn't gonna play games like that because the stereotype of people playing MMOs back then was so crazy. It's like, oh, you're sweaty, you live in your mom's basement, and all you do is play video games all day. That's what the perception was for a MMO, somebody that played MMOs, because everybody played video games, but if you played a computer game, I should say, back in the 90s, early 2000s, you were a nerd. Nobody wanted to talk to you. But now, and you missed out on a lot of games because of that. But yeah, now they're bringing them back, like Classic WoW, and they brought back City of Heroes. So now I got to play that, and I enjoyed playing that, and it was good. So I'm happy that MMOs are becoming more normalized, and because now it's introducing a whole new generation or a new type of game to a whole bunch of people who never thought about playing these games before. So I think it's good, man.
And with the way things are now, with Twitch and everything, you get more eyes on a game because you didn't have that back then. So it was just like, you record, maybe put a video on YouTube, and people are like, what the hell is this? And just keep it moving. Like, they'll look at it. If they don't know what it is, they'll just skip it or keep it moving. Now you have people, that broadcast a game that, are really popular in the space and things like that. And they're bringing more eyes to that game. They're like, oh, I never played this. Let's try it out. And, so forth and so on.
Right.
So the technology has been able to broadcast these things to a wider audience compared to what it wouldn't been able to do back.
Right. No facts. So you being the MMO connoisseur that you are, what do you think keeps players playing MMOs for a while? What makes them come back to the game? Either makes them come back or makes them stay playing the game. What is one of those? You could just go off of your own experience. Like, what makes you?
For me personally, it's the grind. It's the grind. Back then, okay, now not so much, but back then it was the grind to be the top person, on your server, knowing all the content or whatever the case may be. Now I'm just a filthy casual. But but I think that's the main thing for a lot of people, a lot of younger people that are getting into MMOs, or people in MMOs that are back to MMOs, are looking for their content, and then what all they can do and things of that nature, and then possible expansion that may be coming out for those particular games.
Right.
And, especially, like, let's say if you went into not even classic WoW. If you went into WoW now, you have, 15 years of content to go through? You're going to have your hands full for a little while. For stuff like that, and that keeps people playing the game, as long as you're not, unless you burn through all the content and you're like, well, I got nothing to do. It's like, well, you just did too much at that point in time.
Right. Yeah, no, I think, because for me, the grind kind of is what kills the game for me, to be honest. Like, I agree with Dre Day. What he said content. Like, if there's enough content in the game and I'm invested in the story, I'm invested into, building my character and everything. But, the thing that turns me off from MMOs, and I guess it goes with the grind, trying to get the best gear, right?
Right.
You want to get the best gear, so you have to fight this boss over hundreds of times to try to get him to drop the gear that you want. And then, even if they do drop the gear, you have to try to fight for it between the people in your party if somebody else wants that piece of gear and everything. So you might not even have the chance to get it. To me, that is a turnoff, right? But it's not a turnoff where it's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna play the game because I gotta do that. I do to some point, in some aspect, I do like the grind, but I like a fair grind where, I bet we do this raid, I get the piece of equipment and it's mine. I don't have to try to share it. I don't have to try to fight somebody like, yo, Lo, let me get it. I like a fair grind. Hey, Yiggin, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Right, but you can do the same thing with your friends. It's not even just randoms. I get what you're saying.
You're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
So, that's why you always try to go with friends, and that goes back to the the first thing is raiding content, get your friends to.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that makes plenty of sense. It's not for everybody, because back then, 10 years ago, we have all the time in the world to do whatever. Now, people are getting older, having kids, jobs, things of that nature. So you don't have that time that you used to. So you're not gonna be wanting to go through the grind to get the best gear and things of that nature because your time is limited.
Right. This is true. And also, Dre Day brings up another point. Also, the problem is getting into an MMO too late, right? And the grind becomes tedious when you're trying to catch up and catch up to the herd at the end. You know what I'm saying? So, that becomes a problem too. It's like, all right, I want to go back and play. We'll just use Final Fantasy for example, because that's one of the things that we were doing as a group, as a collective. We started playing Final Fantasy together, but we just wanted to rush to the end game because the end game of MMOs is where it's at. But as we tried to rush through, we burn ourselves out because it's just the same tedious process over and over and over. We're doing these small little quests, run to this quest, do this, fight this boss, do this, blah, blah, blah. Where then I see other people who already are at end game enjoying the game way more than me because they're fighting raids, they're fighting these big bosses and getting the gear that they want. And I'm just sitting back like, damn, I'm still nowhere near becoming to the end of the game. And then it's just like, all right, now do I want to pay money to just skip all the way ahead to one of these parts, or do I just want to sit there and play the game? So I don't know, man. MMO, It's hard for me to keep playing MMO. It's hard for me to just keep playing a game in general. Like it's just the way the world is today. Like you said, we got families, and I don't have time to just sit there and be hours on end, hours grinding for my this piece of gear. I'd rather just go on for an hour or so, do a little boss fight, get the gear I want, get off, go about my day. But if I play for an hour on MMO, you're not really making the best.
Not really doing anything.
Exactly. Like an hour on MMO is like 10 minutes in the real world. Like you don't make the time for it. And also, all right. So the next part of that question was, what makes people come back to it? Like, and I will go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the most obvious thing is expansions.
Yeah.
New content. That's always going to keep people coming back to a game. Now, depending on how long it takes for that content to come out, that may, deter or entice some people to keep playing the game.
Right. No, I agree with that.
I really think that's the number one thing that keeps people coming back, unless they have like their collective group of friends like, hey, we're going to try this game out, and like, oh, okay, well, I already play it, so, let me go back and help you out, or, whatever the case may be. But I think really it comes down to the content that's being added at the end of the.
Right. Yeah. No. I have no arguments, or I agree with you on that. It's all about the content and expansions, and it's also the length between how long the content comes out and the expansions come out. I'll use Monster Hunter, even though that's not really an MMO type of game. It is, but it's not. It's like in the middle between and just a regular 4-player co-op in action in a MMO. So we were just talking about this before with Monster Hunter, is like the content, in my opinion, I guess it's a whole year and a half later, and now they're dropping the expansion for the game. But to me, I stopped playing the game. The game came out in January. I was done playing the game at the end of February. I was at the end game by end of February. I was, had the best gear and all that stuff. And then, no expansions didn't come out until later that year. And it's like, do I really want to come back to the game or not? MMO Lite, yeah. Yeah. That's a good description of what Monster Hunter is. MMO Lite, yeah.
So would a 3-month window be enough to entice you then? If they said, okay, here's the game in January, in April we're gonna have new DLC or new content, would that keep you playing, or would that be too far of a space? Like 3 month, like a 3-month turnaround.
3 months for me would be perfect. That's the perfect amount of time, especially for an MMO. Like I'll be playing the MMO. I bet I get to the end game or get to whatever I got to do before the new content comes out. So then I could take a break, right?
Right.
I take a break. I could play some other games, try out some other MMOs and things like that. And then, all right, about a month later, all right, new content come back to the game. All right, let's get back into this game. And yeah, 3 months is the perfect amount of time for new DLC or new expansions and stuff to come out. But I know it's difficult for developers. I'm not saying it's their fault or anything. I just know it's difficult for them to try to make pretty much a brand new game within a certain amount of months or things like that. Anthem is another one of those games, man. Anthem just dropped the ball completely.
Fell flat on their face.
Yeah, man. And that was just upsetting to me. I was really excited about Anthem and everything, but they just couldn't hold it. We got to the end game, and then there was nothing, and there's still nothing, and the game's been out for 5 months and everything. They just keep updating the game with different weapons and things like that, but there's no really new content. So Anthem, if MMOs, if you're not putting content out consistently, then I think you're failing. Unless you're a major MMO like Final Fantasy, Warframe, or WoW, or any of these other ESO. They drop I think Final Fantasy drops a major expansion every 2 years. Every 2 years,
but they have content every 3 months.
Yes, exactly. They
patches,
have every patches. They change the things, adding new dungeons and things like that. And that's with all the major ones, and they doing it right. And that's why they have a consistent people playing it or so. But yeah, so yeah, I guess that's what makes people come back is the content, man. But moving on to the next question, this is one I wanted to talk about. What do you think is a better free-to-play MMO versus a subscription-based MMO? You said I feel like before that, Dre Day says I feel just announcing new content early enough will keep people playing.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, will it though? Yeah, I think to a degree because they announced what's the game called that we were just talking about? Monster Hunter DLC in like January. And I kept saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back," and I never go back. Right. And then also,
now Shadowbringers last year, but that's a different thing because Final Fantasy is its own beast. Like I said, they do the patches every couple of months, so people have new stuff to do, building up to that new expansion.
Right. So I don't know how I feel about that announcing it early enough. I mean, I guess it depends on who you are and if you really like the game or not. I think that might hurt the game because it's like, come on, I want the new DLC. I want the new content to be here already, but gotta wait, and then you just might get over it, right? So right. I might be over this whole new Monster Hunter DLC when it comes out. I might not. I don't know. So I don't know how I feel about that, Dre. But yeah, so the question I just asked: what's better, free to play MMO or a subscription based MMO?
This is probably the most asked question, like, of all time, like when it comes to MMOs. And in my opinion, I honestly would say a subscription-based MMO is probably the better and safer route to go. Yes, you are paying for the game on top of a subscription if that's the case, but you also keep out a lot of the nonsense. You keep out the pay to win. You keep out the gold sellers. You keep out the people possibly hacking the game. You know, you keep the server stable, all this other stuff that goes into the game itself, depending on what kind of game it is. If it's like a AAA title, I'm expecting, to pay a subscription. If it's something that, is just rushed and just thrown out there and it's free to play, I'll play it for a little bit, but then I know what the expectations are, what comes with that. So just me personally, I would prefer to pay for a subscription. Now, as far as the amount of the subscription, that can vary.
Right. Yeah. What would you say is a good amount?
I think $15 is kind of old now. To be honest with you, I think it should be maybe like $10 or even like $8.99 or something like that.
Yeah, I'll probably say $8, in my opinion.
It just depends on like what you're running into, like the kind of game and the kind of content that's being produced. Of course, is going to generate the that you're going to pay for subscription. Like WoW, of course, you're going to pay $15 a month because it's WoW. Same thing with Final Fantasy. But you have games that are free that are really done well, like Black Desert, that don't really have a subscription, but you can do their little.
It's like a hybrid thing. It's like a premium content kind of thing, right?
A premium thing that gets you more energy or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So you have those kind of one-offs, but if it's a big MMO, I'm gonna expect to pay $15. But personally, I would say $8.99, $10 or less. If I was paying for a subscription, because it's getting kind of old now. I mean, price point.
My thing is subscription based MMOs are like they're good. They're good. They provide a sense of more like stability because all right, you're paying for this, so now you can expect or demand certain things, right? Like there shouldn't be server issues. There should constantly be updates to the game because you're paying for a service. So I feel like all these things shouldn't be going wrong with the game because I'm paying for it. Of course, everybody's human, everything's human. There are some mistakes, whatever. But a free-to-play MMO versus subscription-based MMO, me personally, I would rather play a free-to-play MMO rather than a subscription base. Even you probably get better content and longevity out of subscription base, but I think free to play ones bring a lot more people into the games, into these kind of games that wouldn't normally play it, right?
100%. They're not wasting. They're not potentially wasting any money if they don't like it or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. Yigan asks, what free to play game would you pay for? Shoot, I don't think I would pay for any free to play game, to keep it honest. Maybe because I do like, so let's take, for instance, let's take examples of, you know, free to play MMOs. Some people might not know which ones are free to play. Warframe is free to play. That's a free to play MMO. Maple Story 2 is a free to play MMO. Final Fantasy is free to a certain extent, up to like level 30 or something
30.
like that. You get to play for free. Black Desert, Tag mentioned, which is a really good one, is free to play. It's like
it's like a bot. You pay $7 and then you the game is free after that, or whatever the case. I don't know what their price point is. I think they have sales like all the time, but it's like kind of free to play, but not. It's cloudy. That one's cloudy.
Right. He said free to play is more welcoming to casuals. 100% Dre. Free to play is way more welcoming to casuals. And I guess I'm a casual, I would assume, because of how I play games. So that I think I will go with that more. But like I feel like free to play MMO. But like you said, and this brings up to the next topic, the next question too. I feel like with free to play MMOs brings pay to win methods. And so, do you think pay-to-win methods are harmful for the MMO community, or just an MMO game?
1,000% yes. Like there is no counter argument somebody could give me about pay-to-win that would change my opinion on it. Like if I'm sitting here putting in my time to get the best gear, things of that nature, and somebody maybe with deeper pockets than I may have. Just comes in and buys the best gear and we fight and he beats me, I'm just not going to want to play the game. It's like I just wasted all my time, you know, putting my efforts into trying to be the best to get waxed by some dude who's just like, oh well, here you go, here's $100, just give me the best gear and I can just go do whatever I want. So it's like pay to win. I try to stay away from it as much as possible if I find out there's a game with pay to win aspects in it. Now pay for convenience, that's something totally different. But if it's blatant pay to win, like you pay something, you get the best gear, then I'm out automatic.
He said pay to win is toxic to any game, not even MMO. With that being said, I definitely pay to win before. See, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have paid to win or done some things to pay to win. But so okay, now right. There's I guess there's different ways or different types of pay to win. So would you just use an example? Somebody comes in and they drop like $100, get the best gear and all that stuff. So do you consider like we'll just take Black Desert for example, right? You know they have a stamina system in that game where you run out of stamina, you can't really do nothing else for the rest of the time while you're playing the game. But then you could pay for the more stamina. Do you think that's pay to win?
I don't think
because
stamina portion is pay to win. The portion that's pay to win for that game specifically, was the little boost that they gave you where you got a percentage back from the marketplace from whatever you sold, because the marketplace used to take a certain percentage of the money that was being. Let's say you sold something for $6 million, the market would take 15% of that. And then you get the rest with the little boost that they had, the little subscription thing, weekly or monthly subscription thing that you can buy. It lessened the amount the market took back. So therefore you got more gold, which you can use to buy better gear.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in that aspect, it was more so pay to win. But at the same time, everybody pretty much caught up it gave an advantage to people early on, but a lot of people have been playing the game so long that everybody's caught up now.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter. But when it first was introduced, that was probably the one thing that killed the game the most, because it was very popular when it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then once that was introduced, the player base pretty much, like half of the player base pretty much quit the game because people were just doing that and buying all their gear. So it's just like, what was the point of, you know, trying to grind all your stuff, have to suffer through RNG and things of that nature.
Right. And so, because the reason why I had bought that whole stamina thing is just like, I feel like, you know, I know you can pay for stamina, like you can pay to get more, or just pay for the premium thing and you'll get more stamina. So so I would consider that, pay to win as well, for the fact because say little Jimmy over down the street, he doesn't have a job, but he just does the regular stamina thing throughout the day. But you know, me, I could pay for the premium, so I can keep playing the game all day if I want to, and I can level up and get further ahead of little Jimmy down the street because he has to stop playing because of the stamina cap.
Right.
So I think that's a pay to win aspect too.
And the pay to win is more so aimed at the people that are casual. The people
Right.
who don't have a lot of time, who want to keep up with their friends, or you know, the people that they're playing with, so that way they're still viable to their teammates, or they can still go through the content. That's who it's mostly aimed for. And it's unfortunate, you know, that it is that way, but I mean, it's a business model, and you know, you have people that really enjoy the game, but they don't want to put in the time or the effort to get the best gear.
Oh no, facts, yeah. Yingy says, is there any game you would pay to win? If you could turn any free-to-play MMO to a premium, what would it be? And vice versa. First, is there any game that I would pay to win? I'll pay to win any game, to be honest. It depends. It depends. I'm not gonna say it. If it depends on, you know, when I'm playing the game, like when I started playing the game, or you know, who we're playing the game. If we're playing the game as a group, then I bet we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna, like we did with Final Fantasy, start from the beginning and you know, run our way all the way down to the end. But say for instance, if TAC is playing ESO and it's like, I want to play ESO, but I'm not gonna sit here and play from the beginning while TAC is at the end. Yo, TAC, what do I gotta buy to catch up to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, I would do that. I would pay to win in that, but I won't do it like off rip. A game just comes out, oh, let me buy the best gear off rip. I will play the game for a little bit and then I'll see what's going on. But yeah, no, I'm not afraid to pay to win. I'm one of those people. Like you said, I'm a casual. I'm finding out now throughout this interview that I'm a super casual MMO player, and I thought I was at least above a casual, but the way I'm talking, nah. And then he said the question: if you could turn any free-to-play MMO to premium, what would it be, and vice versa? A game, I would take Final Fantasy out of subscription and make that free to play. Okay. If that was one of the games, and I would actually turn Warframe into a subscription based game. Like, I would switch those two if I wanted to, and I'd say that because I feel like Final Fantasy has a way bigger community, and the game could do even greater numbers if it was free to play. A lot of people want to play the game, but a lot of people also don't want to pay for the subscription. Right. And then I feel Warframe is way smaller, and it has a super great fan base behind them to back them, that they wouldn't mind paying for a subscription to get more content out and, you know, make the game longer, get more suits. What are they called? Tennos? Get more Tennos and things like that, and better looking Prime Tennos and things. So that's what my take on it.
For me, there's really only one game that I would pay a premium for because I'm tired of their stuff being so expensive, and that is Path of Exile. Their costumes are so expensive. Their costumes are so expensive. I love their costumes, but $20 and $30 a pop, I was like, nah, I'd pay a subscription to make those costumes either free or lower the cost to maybe like $5. Like, that's a game that has been free to play and been the standard for free to play games for a long time. But of course they have to make their money somewhere. But if I had to choose, I would make that game a premium game, maybe like I said, between $5 to $10, and then lower down those damn costumes.
Right. Yeah, no, like cosmetics, man, I feel like they, I mean, I wouldn't pay $30 for, you know, some costume, but I think cosmetics definitely help out free-to-play games a lot. And I would buy cosmetics. I would still buy cosmetics. I was buying cosmetics in Anthem, and that shit was a waste of money, man. Whatever. So on to the next. Name a couple of MMOs that changed the atmosphere of the MMO community. It doesn't have to be a couple if you don't know a couple, but, or, you know, is there a game that stands out to you that really turned MMOs around for, you know, it should kind of base off kind of the first question we were naming.
I would say the City of Heroes. That's pretty much the standard game that redid the superhero genre, and of course they shut it down at the wrong time. They shut it down right when Marvel was taking off. So right when Iron Man came out, that's when where City of Heroes was up, and then Marvel was starting to come up, and then they killed City of Heroes. City of Heroes was the best character creator, probably for the outside of Black Desert, it's the best character creator that I have ever, sat down and tried to design a character for a long time. And that was the standard for character design and character creation, in my opinion. I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but that set the standard for me.
City of Heroes has a lot of customizations in that, Like, I spent like 2 hours the first when it just came back out. When they brought it back to life, I spent like 2 hours making my first hero, and I've never done that in any game for customization ever, Because the thing about it is, like, there's so many powers that they have. There's so many different costumes, different shapes, different ways you can look, colors, the color schemes. You can customize there's so much customization in that game, man. So yeah, I think So that's what you're saying, change the atmosphere of MMOs.
As far as character creation, there really hasn't been so much a groundbreaking MMO that I've played. I mean, they've all been pretty much the same for the most part,
right?
At least to me. But when it comes down to character design, I think that's a big part of a lot of MMOs, is designing your own character to have your own personality reflect that character, or have your own style applied to that character. And I think that's a big thing that keeps people wanting to play the game and things of that nature. So City of Heroes, was the epitome of doing that until they got shut down and then brought back.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. I've been thinking about this question for a while. Like, even when I have showed you earlier the question, like, I was like, I don't know what game really changed the atmosphere. I want to say Destiny, because of just how it, like I said in the beginning of this interview, that it normalized the way MMOs are looked at, because they brought a FPS, they made an FPS first person shooter, an MMO, and that brought a lot of normies into the MMO world. So I think at that point, a lot more people, like I said, started playing MMOs and started looking at MMOs a lot differently because of how Destiny was played. When the first Destiny came out, like 5 years ago?
Something like
5 or 6 years ago. And I feel like that was the turning point, and that changed the atmosphere, in my opinion. There could be other games that people might think might have changed the atmosphere for MMOs, but Destiny is the one that really, because that Destiny was the first MMO, I put air quotes, MMO that I put hours and hours, and I put almost like 500 hours into the first Destiny, man.
Yeah.
Like, I've never played the game that much until Destiny came out. Oh, that game and Borderlands 2. But do we call Borderlands 2 MMO?
It's not really an MMO.
It's like, it's not, right? So that's like the MMO light type, like what we would say.
It's a four-person co-op shooter, looter shooter.
So a looter shooter, yeah. So it's not really MMO style, but yeah, because they weren't raids or anything like. So Destiny. I'll go back. Destiny was the one that really changed the atmosphere, in my opinion, at least, to make me look at more MMOs. The way look at MMOs differently, I should say, I guess. So yeah,
right.
So I guess you say City of Heroes.
Yeah, from a character creation standpoint, City of Heroes. I would agree with you on Destiny as far as it being bringing in a new audience, as far as like that separation from first-person shooter and MMO bringing them together, so that way somebody, you know, that may have came from Halo or something of that nature has something to do, and they get a taste of what it's like to play an MMO. And then you had consoles at that time, so that was another bonus.
Yeah, that is very true too. Consoles themselves changed the atmosphere of MMOs. So now we keep talking about the past, but the future of MMOs. Do you ever see it changing or going back to the way that it used to be? Or and also, what do you want to see change in the community? We'll go with the first one first.
Okay. Do I see it changing? To be honest with you, I don't see the MMO genre changing. Because anytime that someone has tried to do something groundbreaking, it has never really worked out.
People don't like change, man.
Right. So the best thing for people to do is to just take some mechanics or some aspects from an MMO, apply it to their game, rehash it, put on their own spin on content, and just keep it going that way. That's how I see it pretty much going for the next, 10 to 20 years until VR really starts taking off, and then maybe you'll get something like Sword Art Online or something like that.
Right.
But for the most part, I don't see it. I don't see it really changing. But I mean, it might not be a bad thing that it doesn't change. Because a lot of people can't really grasp all the new mechanics and things of that nature. Because if you make something too difficult, nobody's gonna want to play it.
Right. No, that's true.
But if you make something too easy, then it's like, oh, this is easy, and then they're not gonna want to play it. So it's kind of like you got to find that medium.
Yeah, you got to find what works, the balance. And as an MMO player as yourself, what would you like to see change in the community?
What would I want to see change?
I know each game varies, so it's kind of like, I'm just looking for a general. Like, because there's a lot of aspects and a lot of things that do carry from MMO to MMO. So I guess it's a general answer, grouping all MMOs together. What would you just like to see change?
I would like to see RNG removed. I would love to see RNG removed from MMOs.
Really? You want RNG just completely removed, or just raise the percent things drop, the drop rate?
I mean, because if they raise the percent rate, then it's gonna kill the MMO. I would like RNG, to be either reduced or removed, because I feel like that's going to make things a lot easier to progress, so you're not stuck behind. Because me personally, my RNG is terrible. Like when I play Black Desert, I can't even tell you how many times I blew up my weapons trying to enchant something, because RNG.
Yeah, that RNG is crazy in that game. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's one. I would like to see it either reduced or removed. I mean, if they remove it, of course they would have to add on more content, but it's a give and take. So if they removed it, I would be fine with that, as long as they have more content, because if they removed it, then it's easier to progress, and then you get to the end game quicker, which would be beneficial for some people. But then some people be like, I'm already here, then I ran out of stuff to do.
They could remove it and then make it harder to get, what I'm saying, like beat the boss hard, or whatever whatever you have to do to get it, make it harder. Like say you have to, for a piece of item or whatever, you have to do like a 6-part quest, and that quest is hard as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something not easy to get.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. Kind of like VMA on ESL.
Right. I remember you playing that.
It's a solo content, but it teaches you how to play your character correctly and learn the in and outs of your character. I'd be okay with that, as long as I get a guaranteed drop of something I want, or get it something I can pick from at the end of it.
Right. Yeah, KDJ, we just said the same exact thing. He's like, KDJ said, you think they should just make raids and stuff harder and take out RNG to balance it, so there's more of a skill gap? Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. That's what I would say that too. I mean, I do like RNG, because I would say my RNG is not too bad in games, but I know, actually, I'm lying. Take RNG out. I agree with you, honestly, Tech. Because that RNG is what keeps me, that keeps me from not playing the game. Like, if there's bad RNG, or just RNG is just not good. If we talked about it earlier in the show. If I have to keep fighting a boss 100 times over and over and over, and I'm still not getting the goddamn thing that I want, man. I'm just like,
Right.
well, I'm done. I'm getting tired of fighting this boss over and over. You know what I'm saying? So if you take RNG out and we make the bosses harder or the raids or whatever you got to do harder, then it will feel more accomplishing. You'll feel great after you beat said boss, said raid to get that piece of equipment because I finally beat it, rather than I beat this thing 100 times and I still haven't gotten what I wanted. So yeah, I agree with you, Tech. That's actually, take the goddamn RNG out.
Yeah. I don't mind you making the content harder and letting me learn my character, because for the most part, I steamroll. If I steamroll through all the content, I'm like, okay, but then the RNG is crap, then I'm stuck. I can't progress. But if you take out the RNG and make the game harder, I actually have to put in the time to learn my class, the ins and out of my class, to get the gear that I want to make myself better, which would end up making me, if you played PvP, a better PvP player and a better PvE player. So that way you know mechanics, you know what to do, you know what not to do, and your team ends up being better.
No, facts. Like, it goes with the skill gap, man. The skill gap thing. And Dre, they said it like it happened to us when we were playing Maple Story 2, and we had
run that boss and couldn't get that. Yeah,
and we tried to get the purple gear, man. I did that thing 100,000 times, and even today, I still don't have it. Like, I had to pay to win. I had to buy it. Like, I had to buy it. I don't play Maple Story 2 anymore, but now I had to buy it, man. It's so crazy, yo. But for me to answer the question, the future of MMOs, do you ever see it changing or going back to the way it used to be? I think MMOs are going to go back to the way they used to be. Not anytime soon, but I think they're going to go back to cater to hardcore fans.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. I guess it'll be a balance, but I think some MMOs are gonna go back to the way MMOs used to be played and cater to hardcore fans, and I think we're gonna get a taste of that when WoW Classic comes out. Right, so now we have a lot of people coming into the MMO world who's never played WoW. They've never really played a real MMO, and a lot of people are gonna play WoW Classic because they all want to see what the hype was about. So I think either they're gonna fall in love with how it was and be like, wow, man, this game is crazy, and I like this game style way more than I like MMOs today. So I think it all depends on how WoW Classic plays out, in my opinion. If the normies go play WoW Classic and they like the way that gameplay is, then that's gonna set a sign for developers to be like, oh, WoW Classic, they just took everything how they first made the game, and they just have a wider audience playing the game now. So if people like it, then I think it's gonna go back to the way it used to.
Yeah, I think it'll be for that game specifically. I think it'll be 50, because you'll have the PvPers. You're gonna have the people that get rickrolled in PvP, and they're gonna complain. It's like, well, I don't have the best gear. Is there some way I can pay for it, or something of that nature? And then they're gonna quit the game because they can't get. So I think it'll be 50-50, but I agree with you as far as what you were saying.
Okay. Dre, yep, we just said it. They're already starting with WoW Classic. And I think this is gonna be the key. If people mess with WoW Classic, then a lot of other people are gonna start going back to the old game ways, at least. But it all depends. But you're right, because if they don't, if it's harder and not as easy as to get the gear, and as I don't have the best gear and they can't pay to win, then they'll lose a lot of people, a lot of like the casuals, or the people who just want to be up the top of the leaderboards just by paying to win. They'll lose a lot of those people. Here's the last question of the night. Okay, what are your favorite MMOs of all times, and what MMOs are you looking forward to come out?
Favorite MMOs, so I can name more than one. Okay.
I figured there's a couple. You can't just put MMOs in one.
Well, the game that really of course, the one that's near and dear to my heart that got me into MMOs is City of Heroes. That will forever and always be my favorite one of my favorite MMOs.
Right.
I played so much, I can't even remember the names of all of them. I would say Final Fantasy 11 was another good one that I really enjoyed.
I didn't see, that was a game that I wanted to play, but I just couldn't.
That's a grind, my friend. If you have to have time to play that game because it is 100% a grind. And then last but not least, I'd probably have to say 14 is probably my current one right now that I'm really enjoying. I mean, I like ESO. It just I was at that wall. I hit the wall in ESO, and I was kind of like, okay, it's time for something else.
Right.
But yeah, those are my 3 for right now. Of course, those will change as time progresses.
Oh yeah, of course.
As new things come out. But the things that I'm looking forward to coming out, I would say I'm looking forward to Crowfall.
Okay, yeah, I know Crowfall.
I'm looking forward to Crowfall. Of course, when they announce Phantasy Star Online, I'm already 100% on board for that. So next year I'll be playing.
Yep.
And then I'm still on the fence, but Ashes of Creation piqued my interest, but I don't know what they're doing with that game.
I'm a backer of that game, and I still don't know what they doing, man. Like, I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on, man?
They're all over the place with that game, so I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it, but yeah, those are some of the ones I'm looking at next year.
Right. Okay. Tesmo Gizmo says the games that coming out is Oath. I never heard of that one, and Air. Infinite something realms. I know that one. I know that game. He said those are the ones he's excited for coming out.
Not really excited for. I feel like it's gonna be the same thing as Bless.
I was excited when I first seen it, but then I started seeing people gameplay of it. I agree with you 100%, yo. I feel like Air is gonna be so similar to Bless. It might be the same people.
I think it's the same people that made Bless.
Yeah, it might
Neo Wiz or something like that.
Yeah. So well, that one's just up in the air. We'll have to wait and see for that one. But my favorite one of all times, I keep going back to it, is Destiny. It was like I said, it's like the first MMO that I've actually really sat down and played and put hundreds and hundreds of hours into that game. So yeah, I think that's my favorite MMO, and maybe I do like Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 is like another one that I put a lot of time into as well, and I sat there and played it, and I like the whole class system in Final Fantasy 14. But yeah, no, I think honestly Destiny is like the one that really pushed me towards learning and wanting to know how to play MMOs before.
Because you put in a lot of time in Destiny too.
Yeah, I like Destiny 2. I like Destiny and Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 is just, whatever. But I'm excited about Destiny 2 now because, I mean, this doesn't change anything, but later this year they're doing cross saves, so you can play Destiny on any system or any console with the same save file, which is gonna be dope. But the game that I'm looking forward to 100% is Phantasy Star Online. Like, I didn't know what my answer was gonna be before they announced Phantasy Star Online 2. Man, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Yo, Phantasy Star Online is gonna be dope. I'm excited for that. Maybe whenever we get some information on Ashes of Creation. I know when they first announced it a couple years ago, I was super excited about it. I became like, I think I dropped $100 on it to be a backer. So I'm excited for it, but hopefully, it doesn't let me down.
We'll see. I mean, I've heard good and bad things.
Yeah.
I heard it was just like a cash grab first part, and I was like, that's unfortunate.
Yep.
And then they came out with the Battle Royale, and I was like, well, I think this is how they're going to go with that game.
Oh, God, man. Can I get my money back, please?
We will see. They were saying they're trying to launch it at the end of the year. I don't think it's going to be this year. It'll probably be another year and a half away. Beyond. Before they release anything.
Probably. I don't think they'll release anything anytime soon at all, man. He said, Harper says, I don't really play MMOs, so he doesn't know. Favorite MMO, RuneScape, and definitely excited for Phantasy Star. Okay, that's a good one, man. Like I said, I played RuneScape for like 2 weeks, but that was I ain't really that it kind of missed me. RuneScape kind of missed me a little bit. But I know Dre Day, he was a big RuneScape fan, and I respected the game for what it was. But it wasn't really. Yeah, RuneScape is where it started for a lot of people. Yeah. Right. He said Fantasy Star. Tez just dropped Oath, and we're gonna watch this little video real quick. To see what this game is about. Oh, it's a 6-minute video. We're gonna skim through this video real quick and see what he's talking about.
What about you know what? What about mobile MMOs? You know, that's a big thing coming up now. You think that's
I just think the mobile world in general is going to be the mobile gaming is so finicky. It's just like I'm waiting for the game to get me hooked again, yo. Like there hasn't been a game that has gotten me hooked to play. Like the last game that I played that I was hooked on was Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. That game that was the first mobile game that I put. No, not the first. It was one of the longest times I played a mobile game consistently every day. Like I didn't miss a day for like 6 months. I would log in every single day, play that game, and do all that. But MMO mobile games, man, which I don't mind. A lot of them are just hitting the auto button and just running through and just watching your characters play. Right.
I mean, but Final Fantasy Brave Exvius it's more so fan service than anything, because I mean it gives you all your characters across all the Final Fantasy, so you get to put in your favorite character in your lineup and go through the content or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, and even then, I don't really look at Final Fantasy Brave Exvius as an MMO.
It's not. I was just saying that. I mean, I really don't play MMOs on the phone, but I think they do have a market for it, and people do play, and people do spend a lot of money on them. But
gacha games,
hey man, look, gacha games get me. I don't care what anybody says. If it's cool looking gacha game, I always buy like the premium 1 day sale or one time sales from these gacha games. I waste too much money on these gacha games, man. But real quick before we go, let's watch this trailer. He said, "Tell Tech to shut his filthy mouth of mobile MMOs. That's blasphemous and vile." Nah, Tez, MMOs, man, on mobile are like, they make a lot of money, yo. One of these games is like the highest making game ever. I don't know the name of it. This definitely looks like a Tez game. This definitely looks like a Tez game.
Is this like Maple Story upgraded?
Hey guys, welcome to the Oath Kickstarter, a new action combat sandbox MMO from Ready Up Studios.
This voice
I'm one of the developers.
I don't care.
Oath, and you may know me as Ethan from our Discord server. We decided to do things.
I mean, it don't look too bad, but it do look like
everything you see in the video is a placeholder that we use for development.
It do look like
First, cast a skill once.
Like upgraded Maple Story type game.
That you hover up and knockback item will be
crafted and things like that.
More in-depth information about Oath. We go into much more detail in the text below. I encourage you to read through everything that we have.
We'll keep an eye on it, Tez. This is first time definitely hear about this game.
I mean, if it's I probably wouldn't put any money into it.
Oh yeah, no. I wouldn't put any money into it.
If it's free to play, I'll probably try it out.
Yeah, no. Facts.
It's probably a pass for me.
Yeah, if it's free to play, definitely try it out. I love trying out free to play games. I'll try any free to play game, for a day or a couple of hours. Before 2 hours is up, if it's on Steam, and send it back. But All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our show today. This was the first interview we had, and I'm excited. I think it went really well. Tech, aka Next Door Neighbor, go ahead and tell them where they can find you at.
Oh, you can find me on TTV/Next Door Neighbor, or in Discord in the Never Game Alone channel, somewhere in there. But yeah, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It was a good talk.
Yeah, it was good talk, good interview. I'm definitely going to have you back on here for some more topics in the future, so just stay tuned and be ready. Everybody, Thank you for joining the show tonight. Thank you for your participation. Go ahead and hit the follow button if you haven't hit it already. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Support is much needed. I would greatly appreciate it. You guys take it easy. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of whatever it is. And thank you for being here. I'm out. Peace.